Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for clicking on this Rank the Movies bonus video. I just got home from seeing a double feature, actual double feature, not like the day I went to the movies and saw three of them. This was actually a build double feature. It was the Universal Pictures, it was a Universal double feature of The Mummy and Bride of Frankenstein, which I just realized I have actual visual aids I could have used. But now I'm shooting this video, so I'm not going to go grab them because I have them both on VHS. But I didn't grab those. So, I also have them on Blu-ray, but Bride of Frankenstein's in the Frankenstein collection. Whatever. So I went and saw them because I'd never actually seen, obviously, we're talking movies that were released in the 1930s. I obviously had never seen either of them on the big screen, and this was a great opportunity to go watch two of my favorite Universal horror films. I have a complete list of them, of the original, like Dracula, Frankenstein, Werewolf, Wolfman, The Mummy, Invisible Man, True Creature from the Black Lagoon, Bride of Frankenstein, and Phantom of the Opera. I have a ranking of those I did a couple of years back. But yeah, so I went and checked them out, and I still really like these movies. They're still very well made. They're still very good quality films that I feel like hold up. Like, they're very entertaining. They tell really good stories. And the fact that they're each like an hour and 15 minutes meant this whole experience was basically 2.5 hours. Like, it wasn't a long amount of time that needed to be donated to seeing a double feature. To get this double bill, you got both of them. And it was really cool. It was really cool. If you don't know these movies, let me go through them quick. The Mummy, not to be confused with the Tom Cruise and/or Brendan Fraser variants of The Mummy, though the Brendan Fraser one uses some of the characters. Basically, an archaeological dig is done in 1921 that unearths the mummy of. I should know this mummy's name because it's the same name as the Mummy and the Brendan Fraser mummy. The mummy is High Priest. I got the girl's name. I know the female mummy's name. The male mummy's name is not there. Anyways, they unearth the mummy. They also unearth a scroll that can bring life to the dead. One of the people in the expedition reads from the scroll, and the mummy comes to life, scaring him insane, basically, and the mummy leaves. 10 years later, another dig is happening in the same part of Egypt, and the diggers, one of them who is the son of one of the people who discovered priest Imhotep. One of the people who discovered Imhotep. It's his son. They are met by a man named Ardith Bey, who tells them that he has discovered the burial site of Anaxamun, who was a priestess, priestess of Isis. So they go, they unbury it, they find out the tomb has never been disturbed, and there's a huge celebration at the Egyptian Museum because of this great discovery of this mummy. Ardith Bey is found at the museum close to closing time, where he's thanked for what he's done. He doesn't like being touched. He doesn't shake hands. He doesn't do anything because, as you quickly find out, Ardith Bey is I said it, and now I've lost the mummy's actual name. I remembered Ardith Bey, but I cannot remember priest. I said it. Imhotep. He's actually Imhotep, who has lived these 10 years. He's got some great makeup on. Like, the makeup effects on him are great because it kind of looks like his skin is very frail, and because either it's aged skin from being mummified, or he's basically has some of the bandages, like, it's just part of him now. The bandages are just part of him now, so he has to wear long cloaks to cover his bandages, and so he looks more human. Either he grew hair or he's wearing prosthetics. That's never actually a point. They just let Boris Karloff, it's his hair and his eyebrows, and they never really explain why Imhotep has hair or eyebrows. But I guess you could say it's a wig and applications, because they would have had those in the 30s as well. Imhotep is trying to resurrect Anaxinamun, but he finds out she has already been reincarnated, so now he needs to bring her soul back into her reincarnated body so he can have his love. Um, this is I went and saw this with a friend, and they thought the same thing at this point, because our the guy who finds Anaxinamun finds the girl who is the reincarnation. She passes out, and she wakes up, and he basically expresses his undying love for her. It's like, this is not how this works. This is not how relationships work. You do not pass out and wake up and have a dude going, I love you. I've always loved you. You look like a mummy. That I saw. So anyways, because it's a Universal film, because it's a film from the 1930s, nobody questions anything, and everything is just immediately accepted. So they realize that she is the reincarnation of Anaxinamun. They realize that Imhotep wants her, and they need to keep her away. And eventually, Imhotep does reunite Anaxinamun's spirit with the body of Helen, I believe is the character's name. And then Helen, Anaxinamun, destroys Ardith Bey, Imhotep. And that's basically the Mummy in a nutshell. It's really good. It's really entertaining. I enjoy the original Mummy. I haven't seen the sequels because I know it's not Imhotep in the Mummy's Curse and the Mummy's Tomb. I think are its follow-ups. I'm not 100% sure if those are actually them or if they have other names. I feel like Hand is in one of them, but I could be wrong. I haven't watched them, but I know they use a different mummy named Karis, I believe. I haven't seen them, but the original Mummy with Boris Karloff is it's one of my favorite Universal movie monsters. We then got the double bill with Bride of Frankenstein, which you think would be weird. Like, why are you running Bride of Frankenstein? It's the sequel. Why aren't you just running Frankenstein, the original classic? And that's because, well, Bride of Frankenstein's a better movie. And it's a movie from the 1930s. So it's a sequel from the 1930s, meaning they're just going to lay out everything for you right on the top, because they have to expect a portion of their audience has never seen Frankenstein. Because unless you saw it in theaters, that was it. There was no, like, VHS, beta, DVD, Blu-ray. None of that existed. You either saw Frankenstein in the theaters or you didn't. So the movie opens with Percy Byron, Lord Byron, Mary Shelley Frankenstein, and Shelley, whose first name I can't remember. It's Mary Shelley's husband, who's also a poet. And they're talking, and takes place before she published Frankenstein. And Lord Byron has read it because he's read her manuscript and is praising it, and then quickly runs you through what happened in Frankenstein as they show clips from Frankenstein of the monster being created and the windmill and all the high points you absolutely need to know. Mary Shelley then says, this isn't the whole story, Frankenstein. The windmill isn't the end of the story. And that she then tells them the rest of the story. This is the last you get of that. There's no ending with Mary Shelley and them. I feel like Universal knew they were going to make more Frankenstein movies if this went well. And I think it was supposed to be a framing device for an entire series. And they just didn't do it. They just didn't do it at the end. Especially because then they started doing Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman and House of Dracula, House of Frankenstein. There was no way to use that framing narrative at the end when they started bringing their creatures together. I feel like that was the original intent, and that's why the narrative never comes back around to it. But it does pick up right where Frankenstein leaves off. The windmill is on fire. Henry Frankenstein has been... I'm going to end up calling him Victor at some point while talking, because I know that's the name in the book, but the movie, he is Henry Frankenstein. Henry has been thrown off the windmill. He is getting medical attention because he survives, because it's a sequel and we need to keep Henry Frankenstein alive. And he gets rushed off to his wife, and you find out the creature isn't dead. He didn't burn alive. There was a water system underneath the windmill that he fell into, um, so it saved him from the fire. He then kills the parents of the little girl who he drowns in the first one. Kills both of them. One of them, I love their dummy, because you get to see this dummy a couple of times. You see it in the flashback of him throwing Henry Frankenstein off of the windmill. You see it when he throws the wife down into the workings of the windmill and she bounces off a crap. You see it again when Frankenstein throws a dude off of the tower, off of Castle Frankenstein. And I think there's another time where you see that, when a woman falls into a lake, I'm pretty sure they use the stupid dummy. It looks like the type of dummy you would like make with friends for a like movie you're making as a kid. It looks like one of those dummies. It's great. It's hilarious. It is the one part of this movie that really doesn't hold up. Like, Boris Karloff's makeup is amazing. Like, that stuff is great. The makeup on the bride is great. Henry Frankenstein is taken back. He is recuperating with Elizabeth. They are to be married, but one night he is visited by Dr. Petruvius, who is an old teacher of Henry's, who is also trying to create life. He wants to know how to make it full size, because Petruvius has created life, but he's only created life in miniatures that he is keeping in bottles. Not like a skull bottle. I just happen to have a skull bottle sitting here, so I'm using that. But like normal, like maybe bottles. And he's assigned each one, like the first one is his queen, the second one is the king, but the king is super horny for the queen, so the third one he made had to be the archbishop, and he made a ballerina for reasons. And the devil, he made one that's the devil, because everyone's the devil. It's hilarious. It's a great scene. I love Petruvius and his jars of people. He talks Henry I almost called him Victor. He talks Henry into creating the creature, even though the creature isn't with them yet. The creature is not part of this story yet. He's just escaped. The creature is he talks Henry into helping him make a female, a companion for the creature, and Henry is intrigued. We then go to the creature, who is eventually captured by the people, put in the jail, breaks out of jail. He's tied to a wooden stake, like a large wooden pole, so they can carry him with rope. And then they chain him to a chair, and he breaks the chains. Why couldn't he break the ropes? The plot demanded that he didn't break the ropes. He breaks out of prison. He then is befriended by a blind man he meets in the woods, who teaches him how to talk, teaches him good and bad, teaches him how to smoke. That's a scene that would never fly today. This is for smoking good. It's like, no, not anymore. Frankenstein, some hunters show up, notice the monster, and they try to fight him. Frankenstein fights them off, burns it down. The blind man still doesn't understand why they're attacking his friend, even when they say he's a monster. He's like, he's fine. He's a good guy. Why the hell are you doing this? Eventually, Frankenstein hides in a crypt, where Petruvius is obtaining bones and pieces for his female monster. Petruvius meets Frankenstein, befriends Frankenstein, and then uses Frankenstein to blackmail Henry into creating the bride. Frankenstein's monster then kidnaps Elizabeth as part of like you do this for me and you get your wife back. Which is cool. I mean, at least in this version she lives. In most versions she dies, because that's what happens in the book. So Henry helps Petruvius create the bride. They bring the bride to life. She rejects Frankenstein outright. She can't talk. All she can do is and yell, which is great. It's such an iconic character who's only in the movie for like 10 minutes, maybe. Eventually, Elizabeth, who somehow broke free, you're never showed. Like, Elizabeth just shows up. Like, she was captured and tied up, and she just shows up. And Frankenstein's monster allows Henry Frankenstein to escape Castle Frankenstein while he destroys it with Petruvius. and the bride inside, and the castle explodes, and that's Bride of Frankenstein in a nutshell. They're great movies. They're really fun. It's Halloween. It's October. Check them out. Check out the old Universal movies. Watch Dracula. Watch The Wolfman. Invisible Man is pretty good. The original Frankenstein is a good film as well. They're fun. They're a lot of fun, and they were a lot of fun to see on the big screen. And my only big problem was, and I'm not sure if this, I can't remember when I watched The Mummy last, which is a couple of years ago, if this was a problem or if it was the theater. They had the sound effects way louder than they should have been. Like, those sounds were comical at points because they were so much louder than the dialogue. Beyond that, it was a great experience. I really enjoyed seeing these movies on the big screen, and it was really cool. Unfortunately, I can't suggest going to see it because it was a one and done. They did it once today, and that was it. But it was really cool. It was weird going to the theater because everyone, because I was meeting somebody there and had to wait for them. I got there right as the theater opened, and everyone who came in was either coming in to see the Bride of Frankenstein Mummy double feature, or they were coming to see the Avatar re-release in 3D. So it was really weird to see a bunch of people coming into a theater all to see old movies. Like, it was weird. Like, I truly believe you might be able, in the right area, you could totally make money running a theater, just running old films, if you can advertise it right and you're in the right area where people would actually want to go see those. But it's really cool. It was a great experience. I highly recommend going to check out old movies on the big screen when they happen. I know they're doing another one for Universal later this month. I'm not going to see it because it's two I'm not a huge fan of. They're my two least favorite creatures, and that is Creature from the Black Lagoon and Phantom of the Opera. They're my two least favorite, so I'm not going to check those out, but they are doing it again with those two movies. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend, if you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. Check out Mummy and Bride of Frankenstein. They're great movies. Like, comment, subscribe, all that crap. I'm Martin, Smashy Smashy Eggman, at the movies. I don't remember if I said that at the top or if I said the old title. Whatever. I'm tired. It's been fun.